Happy Friday and way to go, Coco, continuing her dominance over in the Asian swing over there. But I think it's about 20 out of 21 matches that she's won recently. That's just an incredible run right now. And apparently she might be even playing even better tennis out there. So that is awesome to hear. Good luck to all the men that are out there playing as well, trying to grind out the end of the season over in Asia as they bounce around between China and Europe to finish the year. While they're out there grinding, we're going to be over here talking about what my dream junior tennis training setup would look like. This came across my mind as I put myself in the shoes of many parents and wondered, what type of training setup would I look for if my son ever decided to pursue high performance tennis? Now, I tried to be reasonable because, I think we're always going to want everything, right? We want our cake, we want to eat it too. We want the nutritionist, the mental coach, the physical therapist, the restaurant on site, indoor courts, classroom, locker rooms, clay courts. We want it all, right? But the chances of that are pretty slim to have it all. And there are a few places that do have that stuff, but usually they're just part of a massive operation. And really, if I wanted to put my son somewhere, I wouldn't want him to be a part of a massive operation. I'd want something small, something intimate, something where a team and family atmosphere can be created. Something where like a kid wouldn't get lost in the shuffle and thrown in the back courts if they're not playing their best tennis, or maybe they're acting up. I mean, as much as we don't want to act them up, and we don't want them to behave badly and be disrespectful. Kids are going to be kids at times, and I think being part of being a junior tennis coach is you're helping kids grow up. So sometimes when you're part of a massive operation, you can become just another number to them. And if things aren't going well, they'll cut the cord pretty quick, or just not give you the attention, and just, they'll just bring somebody in, and, you'll waste a lot of time. And, I just wouldn't want that. When you're part of a smaller group, coaches have more eyes on you. They're looking at you more often. They have a better tendency to kind of care about you because they don't have, a million kids to worry about as part of their academy. They have their small little group. And that's where I'd want to start, So, my list of the most important things I would be looking for that I think are reasonable to try to find would be 8 kids within roughly 2.5 to 3 UTRs of each other, 4 courts so that they can spread out over 1 gym so they can work out, because that's important, 2 tennis coaches, 1 strength and conditioning coach, weekly match play, and travel to tournaments as a team. Now, I'll start with addressing that UTR level. So, it doesn't have to be exact, it's roughly. I think the most important thing is that, there are different levels in that group. I'd want that whoever is the lowest person in the group at least has the ability to rally with the best person in that group, and just be thrown in from time to time. Kids need to be pushed. And at the same time, for the top kids, it's important to learn to play against people of a lower level, learn how to compete when they're the favorite and that they expect to win, and deal with that stuff. I think that's a really good mix, and in between those two, you have a nice balance of just a lot of people that they can almost beat anybody in the group, but they can also lose to anybody if they're not focused. So, as far as group level, that would be, my dream scenario. So, again, the UTR doesn't have to be exact. It would be subject to the coaches watching them hitting, seeing how good they are, where their power is, where their maturity is, work ethic, all that. It's just trying to give you all the base, ranking, rating, or level for you to understand, okay, well, what dynamic? I think sometimes we always search for, well, everyone has to be the same or better, is what I've seen from parents. And that's just, one, I think it's just really hard to find. 2, I think you're doing them a disservice by never teaching them how to play down and play against players that are of a lower level. So, and I think it really also helps the other kids, that we get better when we play against better players. So we need a nice balance of everything. All right. The second part I want to address there is the 4 courts. That's really important to me because playing, you need court space to be able to spread out and play full court matches, full court drills, full court points, and everything. I know it'd be hard to find. Maybe with the homeschool program, when there's less stuff going on in the middle of the day, I think that it would be a little bit easier to find there. But I know with an after school group, it would be a little bit hard to find. And, financially, the club would have to charge a lot of money or be very creative how they run their operations in order to have 2 kids per court. But look, that's not my problem. I'm going to search for my unicorn. I'm going to search for my 8 kids spread out over 4 courts. Be hard to find, but I'm going to look for it. All right. The 2 coaches part. All right. I think that's very important. If they have the 4 courts and they're all spread out, we're already doing an awesome job. But if there's only 1 coach, then I think that's just too hard for them to handle. There's too much space for them to walk around. I think I'm going to be spending a little bit too much time babysitting and managing than coaching. And I don't want to pay for a babysitter. 2 coaches with 8 kids there, they can manage that pretty well. And they'll be able to provide a lot more feedback on a player's game instead of having to spend so much time organizing. Would I love 3 or 4 coaches, 1 coach per court? Absolutely. I just think that at that point, they're going to have to charge so much money. I think it would be pretty unrealistic. I wouldn't blame them. That is the best setup, right? If you can have a coach on every court, 2 kids, that's awesome. I'm trying to be reasonable with the things that I'm looking for. Okay. The strength and conditioning coach needs to be a part of it. Okay. In today's modern game, strength and conditioning is more important than ever. Kids, the way that the game is developed, they need to be athletic. They need to be great movers and defenders. They need to be strong enough to hit out of corners and fast enough to get ready for the next ball. And injury prevention, that's just such an important part of this. I think we always talk about, especially with kids and arm injuries and this and that, and not getting them hurt too young, trying to not specialize in one sport. We all know those conversations. Well, good strength and conditioning helps prepare a player's body for the high demands of high-level tennis. So a strength and conditioning person would need to be a part of it, and because I think it's that important. If not, at some point, the kid's level is going to fall off. They're going to get hurt, or they're just not going to be in shape to be able to play 2 matches a day over multiple days, which is how most USTA tournaments are structured. And even, as if they do move up into ITFs and big tournaments like that, the top kids in the world are doing strength and conditioning. So if my child is not, there's going to be a point where they can't hang in there anymore. So the weekly match play, I think we talked about that a little bit with the spreading out over 4 courts. You can't be good at what you don't practice. I think a lot of you, if you've listened to my podcast before, you heard how I feel about playing practice matches. And I think it's one of the most neglected areas, at least in this country and a lot of academies. But when you're playing practice matches, that's where you learn match strategy. That's where you learn how to organize your game. That's where you learn, how to use your serve +1, how to make adjustments mid-match, this and that. Having a coach there, right, telling you, hey, did you see this? Did you do that? Hey, you missed this. Hey, why don't you try that? Well, why? Well, think of the score line. All right, you lost this point because of that. Big point, go here, go that. That's what happens during practice match play. So, if there's no match play, then they can't get that feedback. Therefore, they're going to learn all that stuff on the fly while they're playing tournaments. Well, that's a lot of losses, okay? So there's going to be a lot of losses where they do a lot of wrong things, and I'd like to make that learning curve as fast as possible. Again, we need the courts for it, but once we have the courts, we need match play. And the final part is traveling to tournaments as a team. And this is even if it's just local tournaments. My friend Christopher Trezino over in Williamsburg, Virginia, he does a great job of this with his tournament. So with his academy over there, even though tennis is an individual sport, one of the things most people hate about it is just how individualistic it can be. Not so much on the court. I think what attracts a lot of people to the tennis part is that it's all on them. They get to make all the decisions. They don't have to rely on anybody else. But it's after that, right? It's, you're all alone once you finish playing, and a lot of the people around you, you might not want to be friends with because you're competing. Maybe they cheated you. Maybe you don't like them. It's just a lot of stuff that goes on that really makes tennis, it can be a lonely sport when you get to the highest levels. And I think kids really enjoy it more when they have their friends supporting them, when they have their teammates supporting them. And that's why if you ask anybody who's played college tennis, most of them say it was the best time of their life in regards to their tennis time. And a lot of them actually preferred it over playing professional tennis. It's just a more fun atmosphere to travel to tournaments with your friends. You have that support, and you feel like you're representing something bigger than just yourself. Um, so I'd love that. I think it'd be a great way to also make friends. It would make the experience a lot more enjoyable because you got your people there with you. So this is all just my personal preference. Again, I'd love to have all those other aspects, the nutritionist, the physical therapy on site, all that stuff. I think in order to get all that, it might come with some other things that I would just prefer to not have, and I could figure out other ways to fill in that stuff in different ways. Obviously, would love to have it all, but this is what I think I can probably find. If I spend some time looking, these are my personal preferences. After spending a lot of time training in many different places, not just growing up, but even as a pro, and I think this is going to be the best type of environment that's going to help a junior develop into a great tennis player, while also having a great experience. So I know it's hard to find our unicorn, but I think with this list, I think it's a little bit more reasonable. If you want to shoot for it all, good luck. But I think this is probably the most reasonable thing I would look for if my son wanted to play high performance tennis. So hope this helps. If you're trying to put together, if you're a parent trying to put together some, type of environment, what to look for, what do I want to find, what's a good tennis training environment, what do I want to look for? This is where I'd start. If you got this stuff, you're probably in a pretty good place. So hopefully you can find it, even though, hey, keep searching for that unicorn. You might find that as well. All right. Good luck out there.